Hello out there. It's now October 28th, 2018 at approximately 1:40 to 1:45 a.m. And again, this is part two, and humbly I wanted to mention that the subject material contains uh, brand new, what I humbly believe is brand new findings, or I should say potential findings only, that I present to you only as theories, and that they have to do with religion and science. So uh, please please understand that it may not be for everyone, because some people might be upset over the matter. So that being said, I'd like to continue, and also mention too that I'm for the ones who stayed, the ones who stay. I'd like to mention that I'm not religious by nature. Or sorry, no, that's not correct. I'm not religious by nature. I don't know why I said that. I'm not religious anymore. I'm spiritual minded now. So, because of some certain, humbly I say this, some findings that I found out recently, and so, and through the years too. So I want to start off by mentioning that there may be some overlapping stuff, but I'll try to keep it as close and as concise, as clear and concise as possible. Anyway, so I want to start off by saying I was born and raised a Jehovah's Witness, and I had a very difficult raising, as did a lot of Jehovah's Witness children or kids, and it was incredibly painful. It was incredibly painful, but it was also beautiful. However, there were these questions that were really like dawning on me since when I was a little kid. Like, whoa, why would a loving God do that? And do this or do that? And then I just kept, I should say that only. So why would a loving God do that? Like, whoa, why would a loving God have people stoned, or ground opening up and swallowing them? So I wanted to share some things that, by the way, I'm not the only one noticing these things. I wanted to mention there's a gentleman. I don't know all of his his understandings at all whatsoever, but I have heard a little bit of the gentleman, and it was a Jehovah's Witness, and he recorded some things, and I don't know if it would be good to mention his name, because I don't know if that would be the right thing. But I just say that the things that he was saying, I was listening the other day on the YouTube videos, and I was like, whoa, that's exactly what I noticed when I went to a Kingdom Hall meeting recently. And so I sense that he's trying to be very clear about things too. In other words, he wasn't overhyping anything. He was just saying what he had noticed, and so far what I heard was it sounded really, really accurate. So, and was appreciated. So, and there was some other people that they are having like discussions where they speak about it. The reason why I'm humbly bringing all this up is because if a person was raised a Jehovah's Witness, and I need to get to the point on this, that if a person was raised a Jehovah's Witness, I humbly believe they learned what's called an Ozgod religion, and I believe that religion was one of, if not the main fulcrum, in my humble opinion, only probably the main fulcrum of a balancing act. And so anyway, about the Ozgod, what I'd like to do is mention about this, what I humbly believe is an Ozgod way continuing throughout the earth. And it has to do with a mask. And the mask is, the mask keeps us in a labyrinth. And the labyrinth, like a maze, the labyrinth keeps you sort of like in a, you might say sort of like a, well, I don't know if I should say, this is kind of quick to say it, but sort of like a halified pinball game where the electricity is going through these different labyrinths, and okay, they stop right there. They wait for the green light of the diode or whatever they are. I'm not versed in electronics, but I could just imagine a door opening, and then the electric energy goes through, and then it stops at a certain point. It goes always, and so on the way it picks up different things. It might pick up information. It might challenge it. It might carry new philosophies if it were alive, because it would be like, oh, I learned this along the way. And it might get bored at times going through a repetitive thing, and all of a sudden the owner changes a few things of programming, and now all of a sudden the program or the electricity going through it goes, whoa, I learned something new, if it did learn it. And it would be, oh, I picked this up new or that up new, and it might fall asleep if it were some kind of AI that was written, a lazy AI, or a human. If a human was that kind of way, which the mind is written with electricity. As far as I understand, the new understanding is that everything is made of atoms now, and that's something that the Bible didn't discuss, and that's a real amazing, to me, trippy thing. It's outstanding, and it's exciting, because the Bible told us, from dust you are, to dust you will return. And now, with the advent of science revealing that things are what I humbly say that I found out last week. I was reading in one article, it said dancing, they referred to the atoms as dancing dots. Now I could be wrong about the dancing dots, but what I had heard was that the hand, like if you're looking at your hand, according to science, they believe that the atoms, if they were slowed down, the hand would be see-through. It'd be transparent because of the space in between each one of those dancing gazillions of dots. And why do I bring up all these things? You're going to hear a lot of jumping around, and I apologize, but I'm winging it the best I can, because all these things I humbly believe are what are referred to, commonly understood. What do you call that? Common knowledge. What do they call it? Public domain. Everyone knows those types of things, that links are happening all around us. And with these links, and I know I'm jumping subject again, but I'll try to get back to the dots. With the links, what could happen is the links connect things, and they also do like what I'm doing, which is they hop back to that subject, which causes distraction and causes interest, or it causes disinterest. So and so it's like switches. So on-off switches. So and speaking of links, they're also something like a web. But getting back to, I would like to continue with that as soon as I can, or another time. But back to the hand that could be see-through. From what I heard, I humbly heard this, that from several sources, that they want to take a hand and stick it through something like, say, a table, and when they do so, they are wondering, I guess, if the hand becomes one with the table, that type of reasoning. So, with all this being said, regardless, if everything is atoms, and what I'm saying is, I have a vision to correction as well. Like if someone said, hey, this is not accurate or something, I'm not saying that this is set in stone or anything like that. But I am saying that I am wondering, why is the body made up only of electricity? And then you have a motherboard, which is eons slower than that one, and it has way less connections. But where did the AI introduce itself to that motherboard? And humbly I say this because it would seem disappointing, or it might seem what I call gooey, not like GUI, but like GOOEY. But anyway, about, in other words, interacting with electricity, when electricity goes into a PlayStation, an outlet, all kinds of things. For example, what if two people were touching this is very, very heavy subject, but I'm trying my best. But, and that's why I kind of, with this recording for sure, I'm recording without, well, it's hard to explain, but if two people are touching, let's say two people are touching a refrigerator and they both get shocked, then now what happens? Did that surge go through both people? And that people might be concerned about that. Like, whoa, I just read an article the other day about how if someone can get their atoms within someone else's atoms. And I'm not exactly sure if I read this recently. I think I read this, something about if someone sneezes on you, then you could get, basically you can get zapped by them. And so what I believe is that is some type of an illusion. It's some kind of optical illusion from which I humbly believe is whomever is out there. Say if you believe in, I believe in the heavens that they caused it. But if you believe in perhaps aliens, maybe it could. It's gonna take too long to explain how, but I'm trying my best right now. But anyway, so you could get slimed by these, you might say, like Ghostbusters slime, So what I humbly believe is that these dancing dots are a light show, and that they're an optical illusion, and that there is a real spirit of some kind, or an energy, or something beautiful. It may be fake to the heavens, like a fake level, or some type of lowest level or something, but it's something a lot more beautiful, even still. Not to say that the body is not ridiculously amazing and beautiful. I humbly believe that we've not been told the truth, and that in my theory, and what I believe is that there is some type of, I like to word it as some type of spirit, perhaps, that's within the body, that is not like what Jehovah's Witnesses had taught for years. And if all of a sudden they change the teaching, they should really make that clear, because we're so close to and beyond what they had mentioned. And I humbly say this because I don't want to sound like I'm trying to give them, that I'm trying to be too carefree against them or anything like that, but that I'm kind of upset over the subject, to be honest. But that the reason why is because I believe that this, well, not upset, but just frustrated. That because basically all these years we thought that the body had a spirit, and they hardly ever talked about it, really. And it was very confusing when they did. And they would talk about how the soul is alive. And so when I kept reading and I kept checking out their website .org, even to this day, I was still like, I was preaching it, but I'm like, yeah, the soul is the body. Okay. So basically they're trying to say that all these electronics are the ones that contain, and then you go, what? You say, what's going on here? Awareness, emotion, and love? How is that contained in electronics? In order to have emotion and love, you have to have awareness, self-aware. You have to have, they use the word self-aware, but it sounds distracting. But if you just think about awareness, it's amazing because it's the vision when you open your eyes. It's outstanding. And for a person to well, let me skip that part. I'll just say this, that the electronics, I'm at a quandary to wonder, how do the electronics claim life that much? And according to Jehovah's Witness, what they say is that they referred to it something like an engine type thing, like it helps to it helps as an animator. They refer to it as an animator, and that it animates the body. Then it says when the body dies, the spirit goes back to God. So then what? So that he can, now I'm being very careful, but I still am wondering, what would God do with that spirit? What if the person were bad? Do the heavens recycle it? So, that's, to me, that's where it comes into a gooey scenario as well on that one, because, and then also a dormant spirit, that's pretty trippy, because it says it's not, sorry, it's pretty, to me, it's very, it's bizarre. I'm trying to proceed with caution about that. I know that there's witnesses that might be listening. They might be upset, or there may be others who are listening where, there's things that could be even a consideration. And if there ever was a happening where, like, whoa, that's a new understanding, then how careful should a person be considerate of that? So, and but the reason why I'm kind of, to tell you the truth, I'm kind of winging it, because it's an emergency scenario where however the message can get out the most accurately, to me, in my humble opinion, is the best. And so so if it is true, I'm so sorry. I meant if there is truth to anything, or if there's any kind of investigation on it, and that's how I should have worded it. I'm so sorry. I'm winging it. So what I was going to say is, to me, what I believe is the electronics were, and humbly what I'd like to say is, very carefully, this is that it's dumb, is that to me it seems like the body was entrapping us in ways it was the opposite, that it could be viewed that, in my humble opinion, that it could be viewed that it was, I better stay away from that one. I'll just say that it just seems like maybe there was, regardless, going back to that one, it's like a containment that's beautiful, but it was also very restricting. So it's not as much the understanding as it is the presentation. And I believe that that's what also the Bible did, was it was the presentation. It was the way it was presented was humbly what I refer to and found out about this word. I did not make this word up, but I found out about this word. And I refer to it as larks. And so, in other words, it's labyrinth traps. that are, if perhaps there may be some help with this in terms of some simplified helping concern to understand in order to break things down in a friendly and hopefully interesting way, because it is interesting and fun to learn about. But the sad thing is, we're kind of in my humble opinion, we're kind of at a time when the information should be out as convenient as possible, but as if it's true, if it's even true. So I shouldn't have said if it isn't true, even true, because I believe it's true, but I should say if it's true to you. And that's the most honest I can be. So what I'm trying to say humbly is that filler words, but what I'm trying to say is that the spirit, if it is true that we are spirit bodies, then the electronics are like a fake type thing, or if they're even in use at all, and if there is interaction between the spirit and electronics, then to me it seems like a person would be a spirit running through a pinball game, and they would be learning through sort of like a recording machine that's like a pinball game, and but a very serious one, and maybe say the whichever mechanisms you call them, what do you call those, the things you hit the button and the flippers, and then you have the pinball lands, and it might go up a ramp, it might go through all these different things, and now they have fancy pinball games that have all kinds of stuff and interaction with electronics. And it may seem like I'm going off on a metaphor tangent, but believe it or not, there may be some use to it. And then now also in addition, we have AIs which have the ability to process information at, I think they said, millions of times faster. I've just been watching recently about Sophia, the robot, the AI, and but now I humbly believe we're going on to another subject, which is this. What they said when I read in the Futurism magazine, they said that basically what I kind of imagined in my mind humbly, which was, I probably shouldn't say that, but what they have, if I could edit it, I sure would take that out. I'm sorry. But what I'd say is sorry, I was going to say, for the AIs, they may be able to process things mathematically and take pictures of things such as a smile or a sad face, or your body temperature, or how you react to a certain situation. In other words, if all kinds of cameras were all over the earth and they were taking pictures of people all day long and all night long, and they went all the way to a database somewhere that was like a mega supercomputer, then you would the data, in my humble opinion, and it seemed to, because I guessed it, I was like, wait a minute, if perhaps there's no awareness with computers, then where would the awareness go with an AI? And so it seemed to me that the article seemed to say that basically, yes, the AIs don't seem to have awareness, but instead are gathering all kinds of information just like that, body temperature, and so on. And that's how I stumbled on the guess or the theory, because I was like, do they have an emotion chip like Star Trek or something like that? So when people can't, and I'll be honest, I'll be very careful to mention this, but everyone knows that on Star Trek or all those different shows, they have a laugh at trying to discover about emotions themselves, because they know, and they're very advanced. They would have been in the future. And so they laugh about it because they know that emotion is not even defined in the dictionary very well at all. And that if anything, it might mimic the books that are said to have perhaps gods, which I humbly believe the Bible does, of course. And where it, it says love never fails, love conquers all, love is not selfish. But even still, if you go by that, do you really, it says love is kind. But now I'm going on to another subject, and I apologize. But what I'm trying to say is, where did a laugh come from, and what is it? And what is it? What is a tear? And why did it exude from the body, and so on? And I'm going on to another subject there. But I think maybe I'll stop the tape right here, and I'll see how people, if I apologize. Wow. I'd like to cut that part off. I would like to see if people and how people, if they even do, how they may respond. I wish they could leave, if you'd like to leave a